Welcome to the Superbike Rescue Channel, dedicated to bringing old sport bikes out from under blue tarps, out from the back of the garages and away from the sketchy owners and back onto the road where they belong, where I show you the right way to bring your bikes back from the dead.
Alright, this is the Suzuki gsxr. It's a 1994. So, just give you a quick rundown on this bike and why I purchased it. So, those of you that are new to my channel, which is everybody because this is a brand new channel, what we do here at Superbike Rescue is I look for old sport bikes, things that I think are cool, and I'll kind of walk you through why I buy certain bikes and why I don't buy others. So we'll just do kind of a quick once around on this bike. Take a look here. That's Moosedog. He'll be participating in a lot of my videos. So, as you can see, my garage is a little bit cluttered at the moment. We're still working on getting some things set up as we get rolling around here. So that's the quick once around of the bike. Now we'll go into some of the details. So we'll just kind of start at the front. When I look at a bike to purchase, I kind of look to see evidence of the story of the bike. So some of the things we see here, mirrors have about 4 coats of paint. They painted right over the rubber bits right there. Really no way to clean these up. They're $25 a piece. Add 50 bucks to the budget, buy a set of new mirrors. There's no point in trying to save these. You'd spend a month cleaning those off. Another thing on this bike, it has a zero gravity branded windshield. That was a good thing. That was a high dollar item back in the day. I have mixed feelings on aftermarket parts. My take on it is stock is always better. If you see stock parts, that makes me happy. If they're in good shape, that's always a good thing. A lot of times windshields get yellowed. The stock ones weren't that great to begin with. Windshields, I'm good with a zero gravity windshield. I like to see that. As you can see, a lot of hardware is missing. Not really a big deal for me to see missing hardware, but that does tell me somebody's been in this bike. It's been taken apart. You see here, there's cracks in the fairing here. Not a huge deterrent, but it is an issue. This being a 94, it does have the air intakes. It does have the smaller headlight than the earlier 93. It is a water-cooled bike. You can see the radiator back there. Also on this bike, yeah, it's got some issues with the forks. You can tell in the cupping on the tire, which is unfortunate because these look like pretty new tires, but it's going to have to be replaced. Coming over to the side, we can see kind of what we expect to see. Fork seals are blown. Not a big deal. You should honestly replace the fork seals on any bike that you're going to ride. They're cheap. They're about 20 bucks a piece. In an upcoming video, I'll do those fork seals and I'll post that to show you what we're looking at as far as how to do that. Pretty simple. It's something you can do yourself. So we'll jump over here. You can see right there is the date code on the tire. These tires are 2016s. They're 6 years old. They're scrap anyway. After 5 years, you just want to replace them. So we go around the bike. Another thing I can see, this piece right here should be flat black. It's been painted. Anytime you see paint, it's safe to assume the bike's been wrecked. Nobody paints a bike just because they don't like the color. They paint it because they wrecked it. If it's a full paint job, that means they wrecked it bad. We've got missing hardware tied on. Not a huge deal, but again, it tells you somebody didn't put very much effort into this bike. This being a 94, it does have the top engine brace on there on gsxr. gsxr or Suzuki stuck with what I call the L frame on this curve in the frame. It's a pretty cool feature. It's one of the reasons I like the gsxrs is because they have that big chunk of frame there. This frame flexed and wobbled and didn't do as well as they'd like it to. So GSXR got away from that frame in 1996. Everybody else got away from it in the mid 80s. Not sure why Suzuki hung on to that frame as long as they did, but they did. And again, I like the look of it. So that being said, this edition in 1994, the top bracket on the motor was them trying to hang on to some sort of relevance in the superbike market. We walk around the bike. There's another thing I thought was interesting is somebody has made this custom piece here to attach this. Not sure what that's about. Again, the bike's been wrecked. There's just no way around it. Not a huge issue, but it's a thing. Grips, we see here. Everybody did this in the 90s for some reason, the aftermarket bar ends. These grips are okay. I'm not sure why the throttle's sticking out like that. I'll tear it apart and figure it out. Brakes work good. No issues there, but again, we'll bleed the brakes, put new fluid in just because we can. This bike has an aftermarket key. Somebody lost the key, possibly a repo. Again, I'm looking for, trying to find the story of this bike. What happened to it? What was done to it? We can see there's some wiring issues here. At some point, somebody's put these connectors in there. What was the reason? I don't know. We'll find out more about it when we look at it, but these are just things we want to note. This is kind of the process I go through when I'm evaluating a bike to buy it and setting a price. One thing that caught my eye on this bike, that's a Suzuki factory exhaust. To see that on a GSXR is pretty unusual. Most people just toss the factory exhaust to the side, put a Yoshimura pipe on, had to be loud, but it's there, so that's good. As with every bike from the early 90s, this fender's been cut. Not a big deal. I would have done it myself. I don't blame anyone for doing that. We've got some funky wiring in the back. This is some kind of taillight module. Eliminates the side markers, runs the wiring through the taillight. I have mixed feelings on that. It's a cool look, but again, it's not the factory wiring. I love factory wiring. I question when people do things like this, how well they did it. What do they know about it? Moving on around to the side, this is something that caught my eye. Why is there a bolt in the rear peg? It could be as simple as these were starting to rattle or flop down. They changed the bolt out. I don't really know. But that's something you want to ask is why are things like that changed? So something I found interesting on here is this chain, this white chain. So I'll take another look at that chain. It could be that someone just painted it. It could be that that's a low quality aftermarket chain, which is what I'm guessing. It looks like there was a lot of work done to this using some pretty low end parts. That's not something I like to see, but yeah, we'll dig more into it. This is an odd thing to see on a bike. It's missing the front peg. I don't think I've ever ran into that before, but I never stop being surprised by what I find on vehicles. If you notice, this has a carbon canister on here. It took me a second to realize what that was. This is actually a California bike. How it came to Indiana is your guess is as good as mine, but it originally was a California bike. It's got some air injection. It's got some additional features and things to it. Again, not a huge deterrent on this bike, but it's an odd thing. So that's most of what there is to see on the bike itself. Again, yeah, there's a fork seal that's heavily blown. Not a big deal. We want to replace all those anyway. So just quick high-level inspection on this bike. We need fork seals, we need tires. We'll go through and change all the fluids in this. Brake fluid. Needed a new battery. This bike came to me without a battery. Had no idea if it turned over. I took a lot of risks buying this bike. I think we're going to be okay.